integration. Blacksburg was integrated a lot earlier than a lot of the other places. Around 61 or 60, we started integrating in Blacksburg.
Now you were back from the Army by then?
No, yeah, I was back from the Army by then. Yeah, right.
You got out of the service in
55, yeah.
I don't know, how did that feel? I've always wondered, you know, you can go in the Army, you can risk your life and carry a rifle or whatever, and then come back and you can't go to the theater.
Not only can't go to the theater, I had a bad experience when I came back out of the Army up at the Hokie House. I went to I was coming in from Roanoke, and I lived down in Wake Forest, and I was sleeping. I wanted to get a cup of coffee, and I went into the Hokie House. On the side door, before I went into the Army, the blacks went into the side door, so I just followed the same custom and went in. I sat down and got some, and ordered my coffee. And though it was two cadets sitting there, I got to talking with them. They found out I just came from Korea, and they was interested in what was going on over there, so we started talking. So they brought the coffee out, because I was expecting to bring it out in a paper cup so I could go, because that was the custom before. They brought it out and they set it in a regular cup. So I proceeded to drink it. Then they went back in the office, back into the kitchen. I noticed them back. They was discussing whether I was black, or perhaps a few African students had started coming here, so they couldn't. The Africans, it was all right for the African students to go in, but not the blacks.
Oh, wow.
So they couldn't distinguish whether I was African or black. So then they finally came out and said, "You got to leave." And I said, "So I'm not going." I said, they took the cup, the coffee, and poured it in a paper cup and told me I had to leave. And so, but the two students I was talking with, they told me, "Don't go. You stay here and talk. So if anything happen here, we'll protect you." So I didn't go. Then they said, "Well, we'll go and get Miss Rhino. She was lived right up the street, and she was the owner, operator of the restaurant. So we'll go and get her, and she'll put you out." So it never happened. So I stayed there as long as I wanted to, and finished my conversation with the students. So, but the same integration policy was still the same when I came back out of the military. Yeah.
So you got back to Blacksburg in 55, 56?
And well, 56, well, that time I came back from Charleston, couldn't get in school. I worked at the Hillcrest, the girls' dormitory, I worked in the kitchen there as a salad maker. Oh, wow. So I learned to make all the salads. And matter of fact, I lived there at Hillcrest with one of the other persons. And we couldn't get to work on time. We had to be there about 6 o'clock. And so they said, "Okay, you can't get to work at time. We got a bedroom downstairs. You want to live downstairs?" So we said, "Yeah." So I lived there for a year, right at Hillcrest in the basement. And then this is when I got into barbering. I was going in Newtown. I was just going from door to door, cutting people's hair out there. You know, I cut one of the little boys' hair out there, and he was a shoe shine boy. So he went back to the barbershop at Tech. It's called Tech Barbershop, and they looked at his haircut and sort of dissected my haircut. And they said, "Well, this guy can cut your hair. He can cut anybody's hair down here at Tech." Yeah. So they sent for me to come down there, and that's how I got a job. I didn't even know it was a shop down there. So I went down to help them in 56 to cut the freshman cadets' hair, and they're just supposed to be in a temporary job. So I ended up staying 18 years.
Wow. Yeah. Where was the barbershop on campus?
Then it was called the SAB, Student Activity Building. And then it was in there. It's what is now Squire Student Center. But inside, it was that back there near the bowling alley was right in back. So it was in that area, and it was called Tech. It was Tech Barbershop, and it was ran by Virginia Tech Athletic Association. They had all the concessions at Virginia Tech at that time, and the barbershop happened to be one of them. They had the laundry, sandwich shop, bookstore, and so I worked for
the athletic.
I worked for the athletic. Yeah. I had to report to Mr. Mosby. Mr. Mosby was the head coach, and he's the athletic director. Back then, the athletic director, and it was the head coach, in most cases, football head coach.
Yeah.
So he was my boss. He was my top boss. We had one in between. A business manager was that was in the building. Oh, and they really had a hard time with him. His name was Harry Klingenpiel. He was devout. He didn't let it be. It wasn't unknown, or he let it be known that he was a segregationist. He didn't say it, but it was quite obvious.
Yeah.
So he attempted to give us a hard time.
So were all the barbers black guys?
We were all black guys, and Mr. Klingenpiel would not give us. He didn't give us tickets to go to the football games, although we were working for the Athletic Association, and we didn't know that. The janitors would come in and ask, "You going to football game?" We say, "No, we're not going. We don't have a ticket." They say, "Well, Mr. Klingenpiel gave us a ticket." So we went out and asked him, "Why didn't he give us a ticket?" He would say, "I thought you guys wouldn't want to go because they had a tag hanging on you, and you go in the gate. If they needed somebody to move some chairs or do some things, they would look for the people with the tags." And so we told him we would go. There's no problem. So he finally gave us the tickets.
Oh, nice.
And as soon as we got into the gates, we just threw the ticket in a fresh trash can and went home.
And you've been going to the games ever since?
I've been going to games ever since. I mean, back in the early 50s. Well, I went before I went in the Army, I was going.
Yeah.
I started in the 40s. By 49, I started going to Tech game when it was over in the old Miles Stadium. And they had wooden bleachers behind the goal post for us blacks, and they had a big sign out of a cardboard box, and they take a cardboard box, cut it off 4 corners, tack it up, and it was written colored across the cardboard box. That's the area we sat in.
Yeah. Well, was that gone in the 60s?
Yeah, it was gone in the 60s, but the bleachers were still there.
Yeah.
But the colored sign was gone.
So you could sit anywhere, or you could have a assigned seat anywhere.
No. You still had that.
Oh, you had to go sit in that
same area. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and not all the 60s. Finally, it did change in the 60s. Well, I would say around. I would say it was gone before that, because it was more in the 50s, 49s and 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started then, while you were at the Tech Barbershop, you were also going to Newtown and cutting hair in Newtown?
Yeah, because they had a rule down there. See, at the time when I went there, the first black students came to Blacksburg in '53, so they were already here when I got here. And so when I went there, they told me that the ruling there was you can only cut the black students' hair before 8 o'clock or after 6 o'clock, after working hours, the normal hours. So I would stay and cut their hair after the shop closed, and it wasn't about 4 of them here.
Yeah.
So that was the practice then. I went there in '56, and so it never changed until I changed it. What happened? It was only 4, but every year maybe 4 more come. So you get 8, and it's just the black student population started increasing, but my work didn't increase because I was the only one who was doing it. The other barbers would leave at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I became the manager, and I stayed there and did it. So after a while, every day, I would have to stay late. So when we got around '62, I decided to just integrate the barbershop. And just told me, from now on, you come anytime, anybody else. You come from 8 to 6, just like any other students. So I didn't get that permission from anybody to do it, because I know Mr. Klingenpiel wouldn't let me do it. So he found out later when the janitors went in and told him that we were cutting the coloreds. He always called us coloreds out there. So but during the summer, the Corps Cadets went on campus, which they're not on campus now. So there wasn't any students there, and it wasn't much for us to do. So at Quantico, Virginia, that's where most of the troops were, and they needed help, and there was one barber was working there. So he invited us from down here, so 3 of the barbers from here, we would go to Quantico, Virginia for the summer, and just left one barber in the shop. So Mr. Klingbeil went back and asked him who gave him permission to cut the colored students' hair. And he told him that Mr. Johnson did. He said, I'll take it up with him when he came back. I came back to this day, he never said a word.
He said a word, yeah.
Because the sky hadn't fallen, so
yeah.
I guess.
Somehow everybody survived.
Everybody survived, so he didn't say anything.
Earth kept spinning, the sun kept rising.
Yeah, right.
Wonder if we ought to talk a few minutes about the Oddfellows Hall in Newtown and what kind of vision we have for that. Can you say a few words about what we need to do and what we're looking for in terms of memorializing Newtown?
Well, we probably need more publicity about it. And so just a lot of people has come since the other night has called me about it, and they say they didn't know. I think if you get more publicity out there, it would help and get a lot more interested people interested in it would help. And so then they just would need to put the history of Newtown and Oddfellow Hall out there. So that's just mostly the Blacksburg people know about it.
Yeah.
And the outside of Blacksburg, like Rapp and Christiansburg, they don't. Yeah. It was just the Oddfellow was just a meeting place for mostly Blacksburg blacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Even in Blacksburg, outside of the folks who lived there
right.
or were a legacy with Newtown, not many people know about it.
They don't. So publicity is going to be one thing. I think once you get the publicity out, I think that it'll generate people wanting to help or do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something for us to work on for the next few years.
Yeah. We'll get it done.
I think we will too.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Yeah, I think we will.